What's up, YouTube? It's Ask the Young One with CreateHighVibrations.com. I wanted to make this video and talk a little bit about some more tips and some things that, again, that like in my last video, I talked about the law of magnetism and how we attract, like attracts like, and like attracts what we are. And a lot of times we carry these traumas within us, and we don't necessarily understand because many of us are, no matter if we want to admit it or not, we're unconscious to these things. We're living through a system that runs through here that is coming at us in perception based off of feelings, felt perceptions, experiences, beliefs, things that we have kind of been dealt in life. And so I want to talk about this because it's extremely important, and I don't think a lot of people, especially in the toxic narcissistic community, whatever we want to call it these days, but they don't talk a lot about it. A lot of people are focused on the narcissist and what the narcissist is, instead of focusing on within and where this power actually lies. And so I want to talk about this because it really is just, when we're focused on everything externally and we don't focus on internally, we begin to stay in those egoic beliefs. We begin to allow the ego to continue its protection of us and continuously deny our actual truth and getting to us. And so I wanted to talk just briefly about this, because really, and I created this program, it's called the Inside Out Project, and it's really about working from the inside out and really beginning to fully embrace and believe inside of ourselves in what we are, rather than the limitations and the lack and the scarcity that we've been taught, and that the ego and our subconscious uses to keep us in patterns. And something that I've learned, what I see a lot, I've learned because I've experienced this. This has been my own truth. At some point, it was my own truth. And I'm reminded of it through certain situations or circumstances. I get reminded of it, but at the same time, I'm reminded of the growth that I've experienced. And so, one of the things is we get triggered, and toxic people are so good at attempting to play on these vulnerabilities that we carry, because they don't have the conscience. They don't have the ability to function. And so we have to become that ability for ourselves. And one of the, it's like, when we allow guilt or shame to be used against us to then give in to someone else, and it may not even be a particular instance of toxicity. It is something that, depending on how you are raised, in the things and the manipulations that your own parents used, that were probably used on their parent, or from their parents onto them, and therefore they just continue passing it down. Depending on how that is played, will then play out in adult life. Recently it's even played out for me, and a situation where someone tried to really make me feel guilty for saying no. Before, in my old story, in my old life, that would have worked. And so what I'm saying is, learn, if you to learn how that affects you. And if you begin to feel it, but you're aware of it, you can say, okay, this is the ego trying to take over, and it would normally tell you to give in, so therefore you don't feel the guilt or the shame that another person is attempting to project onto you for you saying no. We have to understand we are allowed to say no. We do not have to fall in line with what other people think we should do. If we don't want to do something, you're allowed to say no. And if you get guilted, for me in that situation, in that moment, it came from someone that I was raised by, and therefore it showed me exactly, if they're doing it now, chances are they did it when I was, wee little, and I probably was programmed, and this felt perception even as a child then was used like it was, so I was able to really like recognize that pattern and where that came from, and to know, when we're dealt that as our, when we take that on within our inner child and we begin to shove our inner child away to not feel that, or to then put on a mask and do it anyway, whether we want to or not, and we begin to people please, and we begin to be codependent, and we begin to, this all plays out in our adult lives. And being able to have the awareness, the mindfulness of, in that moment, what that feeling comes across as, being able to recognize that, especially when it's coming from someone, that is from your childhood, that probably explain, it's like, oh my God, this is why I did it as an adult, because this is why it's worked on me. This is why other people have been able to take advantage of my vulnerabilities, because I was not aware. So therefore I was constantly in this mask to avoid the guilt, or to avoid the shame, or playing into that. And so again, going back to that Inside Out project, and the reason why I created it was really to start stripping away and shedding these ego masks that we wear. Start shedding away the beliefs of our old, the beliefs that we no longer want to resonate with, the beliefs that we know are in us, but we're not sure exactly how to maybe begin to cultivate ourselves out. And so that is the reason behind that project, and working with people, and no longer needing the validation of anything externally, and beginning to internally and externally create what we are, our truth, our full-blown living truth, whatever that is for you. And it's very important. So I wanted to make a video and kind of talk about that experience and that aha moment. And so, if it's something that confuses you, if you were raised by a narcissistic parent, and you're beginning to awaken to things, then it should really be, like being able to see it a lot more, and then being able to recognize it when other people are attempting to play on these parts of you. But if not, you can always watch your parents and how they are with their grandchildren or with other children, or even watch how they are with you. And as an adult, you can begin to recognize these patterns, and you can see how it's played out in your adult life, and then you can really see where it needs to heal, or where the awareness needs to get placed in order to further bring yourself out of this protection mode of the ego, and get into the living mode of the truth, of the authentic self, and allow it to flow and flourish and become the everlasting flow of yourself, to give to this world, and no longer hold back. I mean, it's man, like, if I would have been able to recognize this stuff 20 years ago, amazing, and this is how we break our cycles. This is how we break the patterns. This is how we no longer continue cycling these things down to our own children. This is where our growth comes from. This is why we are on this earth, to connect, to speak our truth, to live our truth, to believe in ourselves enough. You know, it's the same thing. If you have a caregiver that never believed in themselves, man, chances are you probably don't believe in yourself, and you don't know how to. And it's so important to start recognizing these things and start working on yourself from the inside out. Recognizing the ego. We can't get rid of the ego, but we can certainly recognize it and truly use it for what it's there for, rather than allowing any of it to continue to use us. And so I hope this resonates with people. If you've experienced this, if you're seeing it, if you want to know more, if you want to work together, let me know, send a message, whatever it needs to be. Because this is my truth. This is what I will be doing. This is what I will be foreseeing out into the world as me, along with the many other people that are aware and awake to their truths, and they're doing the same things. You know, this world can't have enough coaches that are connected to self. And so I truly believe it, and I appreciate anybody that subscribes, shares these videos, and helps get the word out. If I resonate with you, please comment. If any of this stuff makes sense, comment. And I hope it helps somebody somewhere. So with that, I will go. Namaste.